Hey everyone, Ridden here, and thank you for coming. And today, we're going to be taking a deeper look at episode 1 of season 1 of Marvel Studios' latest Disney Plus show, Loki. Welcome back everyone, and fear not, we no longer have to dread the end of the week due to an absence of any new Disney Plus content, as Loki has finally dropped. Differing from the likes of its predecessors in Wandavision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki will be hitting our Disney Plus accounts in the middle of the week on Wednesdays for the foreseeable future. Before getting into it, I want to say that this first episode, in my opinion, has to be one of the most in-depth character summations we've ever gotten in the MCU. I love the fact that through this episode and its plot, the show takes our time stream, removes Loki, and basically fast tracks him through the journey of self-reflection and acceptance that our prior Loki killed by Thanos in Endgame took several films and outings to do. It would seem the premise of our show that we'd already pretty much known leading into this is that Loki, as a result of stealing away with the Tesseract, the Space Stone, and Endgame, is now what's considered to be a variant, as he doesn't time travel per se, but displaces himself from the main sacred timeline, as he was supposed to journey back with Thor, as we've seen previously in the MCU's earlier films, creating a branch timeline that threatens the natural order of things as deemed by the TVA and the Timekeepers. The opening scenes of the episode immediately successfully immersed me back into the world of the MCU, as it wasn't until my second or third time watching I noticed the various differences in certain shots that were being recalled from the first Avengers film, with peppered in new and or never before seen shots such as the close-up of Loki's face in the elevator. As Loki crash lands in the Gobi Desert, we see a very familiar scene of him shrouded in sand, throwing us back to Iron Man's high-octane escape back in his first film in the first incarnation of his robotic shell. For me, this opening scene was an amazing introduction to the power and mechanisms of the TVA and their operatives, as Hunter B-15 manhandles Loki.
If you don't mind, this is actually your last chance. Now get out of my way.
In the most hilarious fashion I think I've seen since, well, this.
Enough! I am a god, you dull creature. Bye.
With her special buzz baton that knocks him into 1/16 speed movement while he feels all the pain in real time. I really enjoyed Wumi Masaku in her outings in Lovecraft Country and Black Mirror, so seeing her here in a prominent role in Loki was a treat indeed. I like that this episode was essentially our introduction to the TVA, and that in it we got the complete rundown, for the most part, of who they are, why they are, and what they do. I feel the ways in which they established their long-standing presence in the background of everything we've seen thus far was handled with care and didn't seem forced. And as Mobius tells Loki, we never knew about them because, well, we didn't need to.
If the TVA truly oversees all of time, how have I never heard of you until now?
Because you never needed to.
To me, this episode was very interesting in that it did several things all at once really well. We got some of our new characters introduced, such as Mobius, Hunter B-15, and Ravonna Renslayer, as well as the TVA as a whole, with a very good visual explainer of their significance and the prior or future multiversal war that led to their creation. There has been a bit of chatter online that one of the Timekeepers heavily favors Kang the Conqueror, and I must say that I don't entirely disagree. Given that we now know Jonathan Majors has been cast as Kang and Ant-Man in the Wasp Quantumania, and that Kang and Ravonna Renslayer have had romantic ties in the comics, it makes sense that we could possibly see him here in Loki first. Once we actually made it to the TVA, I figured we would get to see some really cool callbacks. And of course, immediately we see a variant Skrull, as well as another variant who looks oddly like Peggy Carter. And the cool thing about the desk clerk Eugene we encounter that confiscates Loki's Tesseract is that last we saw him, he was playing adjacent to actor Asif Ali in The Mandalorian, who was Norm in WandaVision. Here, Eugene may just be the most important character of all, because it is through him that we later see Loki realize just how insignificant all of his exploits to this point have been, when he escapes the grasp of Hunter B-15 and slips Agent Mobius to return to Eugene's desk and retrieve the Tesseract, only to find a drawer full of various Infinity Stones with it. Interestingly enough, the only stone we don't see is a Mind Stone.
What? Infinity Stones?
Oh, we actually got a lot of those. Yeah, some of the guys use them as paperweights.
Masterfully done. In one scene, Loki managed to take everything that was once all important and mighty in the MCU and turn them into paperweights, clearing the board for us moving forward, as we now will move to much bigger and infinite threats that even the TVA can't meet head on.
Is this the greatest power in the universe?
I also like the run-in we got here with Miss Minutes, voiced by Tara Strong. In a show like this, it's always crucial to convey information to the audience that sets the scene and lets the audience know what the playing field and context of it all is. And through the Miss Minutes mascots, we get all of that and more, as well as the various posters throughout the holding room we see before this guy gets dealt with.
Buckethead!
I have somewhat of an inkling that the TVA, while portrayed to be noble and all-powerful throughout the first episode, could possibly end up being the big bad of the series by the time we reach its end. And not the very end Loki we eventually find out Mobius wants Loki to help them find and stop. The entire get up and get down we're shown throughout the entire episode comes off very strong, almost as if it's propaganda in a way. And to confirm that, we see that most of the infotainment we see delivered is penned by the Time Variance Authority Narrative Commission.
For all time, always.
And let's not forget about the Floor 1EJ access denied clip we see in the credits. So let's be sure to keep our eyes on that. And did you catch the Nexus event call out by Miss Minutes? Was I the only person that immediately thought about Wanda and how her actions going forward may put her at odds with the TVA, as we know she is in fact a Nexus being? If that's not a possible outcome, then why was Nexus even mentioned in that one very confusing commercial way back when? Or what about the Uprising animation we see that had a background eerily similar to that of Titan we saw in Endgame, being Thanos' homeworld? The MCU be MCUing, guys. We gotta keep our eyes peeled as to what small things they may try to slip past us. But to be clear, I don't think this was meant to be Mephisto, but more so just to call out to Loki himself, as he's supposed to be the devilish baddie at this point. But things such as Mobius's call out to Nightmare in the episode being a whole division within the TVA, and the various acronyms we obviously aren't supposed to know anything about in the elevator scene, gives me hope that this show will be just as Easter egg laden as WandaVision was. Working off the prevailing theory that the Loki being hunted down is in fact Lady Loki, I think we're in for all kinds of twists and turns before we're done. Wrapping up, the best character work I've ever seen done in such a small amount of time took place in this episode, when Mobius ran Loki through his greatest hits in the Time Theater and continued digging into him as we see Loki realizing the truth of how it all plays out, was fantastically performed by the duo's actors. And later, when Loki is alone by himself, the scene of him watching himself die and his reel coming to an end with the Prime Marvel 616 universe call out, I couldn't help but feel bad for him. And yes, I did quite enjoy seeing him torture Hunter B-15 for a time. I anticipate they will become the best of friends, or not. But Loki's eventual confession of not enjoying inflicting pain and that it's only an illusion was by far a huge milestone for this variant, who will now be ushering us forward. For me, this episode did exactly what it needed to do. That being getting me all the more hyped to see the remainder of this series, as well as the films we'll be getting that follow it. Tom Hiddleston has always been one of the highlights of the Marvel films to me, as he, just as well as anyone else in the MCU, if not better, has really grown to embody the role of Loki, and doesn't come off anymore as just an actor picking up a paycheck. With Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Doctor Strange on the horizon, I'm intrigued as to where this series will take our variant Loki and where audiences will be left once it's over. I will, of course, be continuing to cover the show here weekly on my channel, as well as all other live-action Marvel and Star Wars Disney Plus content and films from all walks of life that I have the pleasure of watching. And if you feel so inclined, I would love to have you back here week in and week out to continue to cover it all with us. Again, guys, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and click that bell for notifications if you've enjoyed our content here tonight. Jump down in the comments and let me know your thoughts. And while you're at it, be sure to check out some of the other content here on the channel. All of the necessary links are listed here below for you to keep up with the coming content and shareables. Please be sure to follow me on all social media platforms. Or just the one you use most frequently. We are slowly but surely building a community here, and I would personally love for you to be a part of that. And last but not least, we have a merch store. So whether you see something you like or just simply want to support the channel, head on over to our shop and grab something, or grab everything. But again, thank you so much, guys and gals, for visiting here with us today. I really appreciate each and every viewing minute of your time you've given us. There's loads of content we'll be sending your way, so I'll be seeing you. But for now, be blessed. And it was written.
Across the nighttime, the city sleep inside. Yeah, hear her voice, shake my window, sweet seduce inside. Yeah, send me out into the nighttime, for walls won't hold me tonight.